Hello guys, welcome to my channel Brush It Up, and in today's video I'm just gonna show the art that I made throughout the week. So generally in a week I'll be sketching, I'll be painting, I'll be making digital designs, I'll be making digital illustrations as well, and a certain amount of time also goes into editing. Actually, a lot of it goes into editing, and I am learning how to make interesting long form videos. So if whatever you like watching or whatever is working for other people, if you got any recommendation, you can put them down in the comments. Also, please like, share and subscribe to my channel. So I enjoy making portraits, and the thing is that when I started I wasn't good at them, and I enjoyed making landscape, I enjoyed making architecture. Even today I make landscape, and I don't do that much of an architectural based this thing nowadays, but I am still sticking to portraits. I do enjoy making portraits, and let me tell you, human anatomy is the most boring thing in the world, and still you won't be able to get it right. And the only key to getting better at anything is doing it consecutively, and keeping a consistency in it. And I am currently in a place where I am able to dedicate a lot of time to this. So yeah, I am trying my hand at getting better at this, and sketching a lot uh, of anatomy these days. And what I've noticed is the most flattering thing about a face is, I mean, about the beauty standards, is that you have a great jawline. Jaws are very important, and you majority of your face should take up uh, should have like great hair, or that too textured hair. Okay, textured hair make up for like great pictures. And more than eyes, it is important that you have great lips, I think. Yeah, that I feel a human's face should mostly have like full plump lips. And eyes, what is more important when it comes to eyes is lashes and eyebrows. So and the color of your eyes, the more contrasting it is to your skin tone, the better it is. For example, people with lighter skin tone, even if they have colorful eyes, the color of that eyes shouldn't be on a lighter shade, it should be a vibrant color, so it stands out against their pale or lighter shade of skin tone. And when it comes to darker shade of skin tone, the eyes should be more lighter. Light, for example, if I'm brown skinned, then my eyes, if it is lighter shade of blue, it is going to stand out more. And if I am white skinned, then if my eyes are brighter shade of green, it's going to stand out more. So the more contrast it is there in your, when it comes to color, and also when it comes to shape, the more even if the shapes are not the most flattering shapes at times, but if you have like shapes which are very different to one another, that makes, what that does is the contrast between shapes and the contrast between color, what that does, it makes the job of human mind easier. We are able to spot differences easier, and symmetry puts us at peace, and asymmetry makes us notice things. It puts our mind on alert. So if you want to grab attention, what you do is, if you want to draw attention, you put some asymmetry to it. But if you want to put someone at ease, and if you want to like make them feel as if there is nothing uh, nothing you should be there is nothing noticeable. Then if you want to do that with your design, then you keep it plain, you keep the contrast low, and you also contrast between the shapes and the colors low, and you have as much as symmetry as possible, because symmetry is what we always look for and we appreciate. And once we appreciate, we think because human mind is always looking for patterns, and symmetry puts us at ease. It feels like that is how the world is supposed to be, though the world is very random and it is very chaotic, and there is no symmetry in anything. And even the tiniest thing that nature has, for example a stone, if you pick up a stone, it has so much complexities when it comes to textures, when it comes to colors on it. If you take up a leaf from a tree, it has so much of details to it. It is, but human mind, it is hard for a human mind to understand it. So it wants you to make the job easier. So I sometimes feel the most flattering designs, the most unique designs that I find interesting are those simple designs, because you have to question this thing. And the weirdest thing is that when you make art, you think art is such a skill based thing and it doesn't make you question things. Actually, art makes you question things a lot, because you have to now stop and observe and understand. The more you try to understand, the more you try to solve the mystery, the more complex the mystery gets. And that is the interesting part about uh, art, is that yeah. So basically I got done with the uh, making the sketches, and then like shooting a small watercolor clip. And I thought the most interesting part is the process. And while making all these videos, I never actually recorded I've recorded me doing it, but I haven't spoken to you about the process and taken you through the process that starts before any of the painting starts, like deciding that this is what I want to do, this is not what I want to do, and this is how I will go about it, and this is why I'm choosing to do this particular painting. So I thought that would be an interesting thing, maybe. So yeah, let's get into it. So basically I am using this paper. This is like this is a canvas paper, and instead of getting those canvases which have a wooden frame to it, because they are difficult to store, you can just, after the painting is finished, you can just roll it up and keep it. Roll the paper up and keep it. That's why I prefer this, because this doesn't take that much storage, and I can decide what kind of a painting I want to do, whether I want to do a large one or whether I want to do a small one, and based on that I can cut. So now today I'm doing an A4 size painting, and I have taken the measure from this A4 size paper that I have. I've taken the measuring of that from here, and I have like lined it up, and then I'll cut it, and then on that I'm gonna make a landscape painting. Now that painting, I'm gonna choose, maybe I'll choose a reference of a painting, or maybe I'll choose a realistic reference. That also I'll show you. But first let's cut the paper and get the canvas ready, and I'm gonna stick it with the masking tape. Masking tape you can find anywhere. I'll recommend to get that white masking tape instead of those fancy looking masking tape, though I have one which is kind of fancy looking, but I because I didn't find the white one anywhere, and I end up buying that one. But I would prefer to have like a white one, because that is much more efficient. So let's get into it. I've taken the measurement already. I'm just gonna cut it. This paper is much more better than rolled up canvas paper roll. you can google that terminology and you will find it. It's available on Amazon, and this is much more friendlier. And I am not see, I started painting because I like painting, so I am not one of those people who is into painting because of the glorified aspect of painting. So it is much more easier this way. So what you do first is the first thing that you will be doing is you will be wetting your canvas. Okay, now you can use like a spray to wet your canvas or whatever you prefer doing. I just prefer to. Now the reason that I don't like these fancy masking tape is the minute I'm gonna put water on this, a little bit of water will go on top of these masking tape. They are gonna be like the stick is going to come off, and I have to again put pressure on them and make sure that the adhesive is still there. And sometimes it still won't work, and there will still be color on that part of the canvas. So by the way, I'm using an A4 size canvas. That this is a reasonably big, and this is not that big, not that small, and I enjoy making paintings in this size. I also enjoy making painting in bigger sizes, but that will take me 2 days, and this I'm gonna finish today. We have started at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and you see how long it will take me to record and paint at the same time. Just me painting is much easier. Before I start painting, just to make my life much easier, and because I have a lot of brushes, I like to go in my brush stack and be like, what brushes would I need today, and I'll just like to take those brushes out just so that my life is easy and don't get irritated when I don't find the exact brush that I want. I just look at the painting and then I understand, okay, I might need this, I might need that, and I just take those brushes out. Okay, and my brushes are not in the best condition, but I always use a mix of like flat brushes and this round brushes, and I always like to have at least one flat brush. Flat brushes, actually I like using, like I enjoy painting with flat brushes much more than round brushes, but there are some things in your painting that only a round brush can do, and nothing can replace a flat brush, a round brush, and an extremely precise thin brush. Nothing can replace this. So these are like must have, and I think these are all the brushes that I will need today. And I'm still keeping this pouch here, that if I would need it, I will go in. And I like to keep these brushes handy, and I you start if you start making art just for the sake of enjoying it, then you're using a different part of your brain. But if you start making design, that is when you're yeah. So let's continue. When you start making design, you start catering to people. Okay, the once you start catering to people, you don't have to you have to make designs which give out a message. So if you want to give out a message, it should be easier to understand. So basically you are now developing a design language. You're not making art because art doesn't have a language. Art is basically whatever you interpret it as, but design has a language. So when it comes to language, like there are certain rules in language. You understand a language, you learn a language, and you cannot just, if I write down a word, that word cannot be interpreted. That word has 3-4 meanings, okay, but beyond that it is not at your disposal to come up with any random meaning for that word. There is already a meaning associated to it. So when it comes to design again as a language that has to be catered to, that has to be understood. So it's a very complex thing, and you're playing by rules when it comes to design, and when it comes to art you're not playing by any rules. And that is why people say that artists are rebellious and designers are facilitators, they are catering, they are servicing, and they are making someone's life easier. Whereas artist is not making anybody's life easier, nor his or her own. It's making you question things. So when you're making people question the uh, status quo, the job of an artist is to question the status quo. So when you're making people question the status quo, you're not making anybody's life easier. In fact, sometimes it falls apart when you try to question things a lot. So it's very contrast when it comes to an artist's mind and when it comes to designer's mind. And let me tell you, it is easier to be an artist, at least for me, than a designer, because when it comes to design you have to um, you have to stop your brain's ideology, and you have to take a step back and understand the world and start catering towards the world. So I feel every designer should be an artist, and every artist should be a designer, because it's not good to always submit to the established status quo, nor is it good to always be stuck in your head and think that whatever you're doing is right, and that's the only way. People should take efforts to understand you, and there is no burden on your part to make people understand things. So it's very a thin line. And if most of I have realized through my explanation that most part that I've shared here is from the perspective of an artist. So let me share something from a perspective of a designer. Maybe I can do it in the upcoming videos. And in this video you saw sketches that I made this week, a small watercolor painting that I did, and a gouache painting that I did, a gouache landscape painting that I did. And in this video earlier I said that I want to finish this painting within a day. I completed it within 1.5 hours, recording come painting. And that's a good way to complete a painting. Also, I hated the skies. I think I gave a lot of space to the sky in this painting, and I didn't like at all how the clouds were coming out. I didn't like it at all. So by the end of it, I have just changed the sky completely, because I wasn't happy with this at all, with the sky part at all. Rest of the painting came out to be okay. And let me tell you, doing two things at a time, I'm not a great multitasker, and when I'm painting and I'm shooting it, the painting doesn't come out to be the best. So I'm still learning, and if you like my efforts, please do subscribe and like. And I'll show you the part. See, here I have completely changed the sky, and I like it this way. I mean, it's bearable to look at. Earlier I think the sky was completely chaotic. And I hope you like the video, and see you in the next video.